Peace family, I'm back again at you with a new video in which I want to show you how Trump is the king of America, you know what I'm saying? And everything that he decides according to their law, you know what I'm saying, you got here, Supreme Court is totally cool, see that? With using military against Americans, see that? That's military against Americans, you see that? Military against Americans, you see that? So how can you vote for something that turns against you? Can you explain that? Because I saw all of you Negroes jumping around the hearse. We want to prefer Trump. We want Trump. Yeah? And how the hell now he turns against you with your own troops? Now he's invading you against Americans. What's next? How could this go wrong? That your own court, you see these laws, Supreme Court, is totally cool with using the military against Americans. So if the Supreme Court is giving Trump the green light, Trump is the king. Let's go.
He hadn't met the procedural requirements either. So Judge Breyer issued a temporary restraining order directing Hegseth to return control of the Guardsmen to Governor Newsom. And he scheduled a hearing on the preliminary injunction for June 20. Remember, a TRO lasts for 14 days. It's supposed to kind of freeze things in place with no one getting irreparably harmed until the court can hear from all parties and make a reasoned judgment. A preliminary injunction lasts through the trial itself. And now this is going to become important. Judge Breyer put off the issue of whether the government had violated the Posse Comitatus Act for the preliminary injunction hearing. He said basically, we'll know what the government intends to do with these troops in a week. Because remember, it wasn't just the National Guard on the streets. Hegseth had Marines out there too. So, Judge Breyer said, come back in a week and tell me if the government is using these troops to arrest people in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. Now, TROs are not immediately appealable because they're meant to be an extraordinary and very temporary remedy. You're supposed to wait for the PI to go running to the circuit court. But the Trump administration has just been appealing everything and pretty successfully. They've even gotten the Supreme Court to leap in and block TROs they don't like. And this time was no exception. The Ninth Circuit conceded as how we generally lack jurisdiction over the appeal of a TRO, but said that when a TRO possesses the qualities of a preliminary injunction, it is reviewable. They said that because Judge Breyer had let the Trump administration file, quote, extensive written materials and held a hearing, it was basically a preliminary injunction, which, I mean, I guess when you're a federal judge with life tenure, they let you do it. The court rejected the government's argument that only Trump can say if there's a rebellion, reasoning that the issue is one of statutory interpretation, specifically whether the requirements of Section 12406 are met. They even trotted out that Marbury v. Madison quote about it being emphatically the province and duty of the judicial department to say what the law is.
Hold on.
But they said they were bound to show a high degree of deference to the president based on an 1827 Supreme Court case called Martin v. Mott. Mott was a guy who failed to show up when he was conscripted into the New York militia during the War of 1812. When he was court-martialed, he argued that President Madison's order federalizing the militia was invalid, and the Supreme Court said that under the Militia Act of 1795, Congress dealt...
Hold on. Of the United States. The authority to decide whether the exigencies contemplated in the Constitution of the United States and the Act of Congress of 1795, Channel 101, in which the President has authority to call forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions, have arisen is exclusively vested in the President, and his decision is conclusive upon all other persons. Uh-oh! You see that? That's how Trump became a king. He's got these powers. You see that? People, that's the power, the authority to decide whether the exigencies contemplated in the Constitution of the United States, people. And he has power over an act of Congress of 1795, people. How old is that? They live in the past, people. The system is being defended, protecting themselves. That's what it means. The system have these clauses to protect itself. Yeah, these are emergency clauses from 1795, people. 101, in which the president has authority to call for the militia to execute the laws of the Union. You mean to kill the people, the rebels, okay? Suppress insurrections and repel invasions. Have arisen and is exclusively vested in the president, and his decisions is conclusive upon all other persons. So this alone shows you, man, that the system has, you know, a mind of itself, and it has a protection of itself, and it cannot just go away because you decide that you're going to, you know, do what they say here, you're going to do some invasion or, insurrections, you know what I'm saying? The system have mechanisms to stop insurrections, okay? To stop revolutions, basically, that's what it means. And that Trump can just unleash military in the streets, unleash attack on civilians if he deems that they are a threat to the United States Constitution that have more rights than you, okay? That the United States have more rights than the civilians and anybody else called Americans. That's what's going on here. So the president have the right to defend the country if they try some insurrection, you know what I'm saying, or if they want to throw him down, you know what I'm saying, because he's not doing nothing for them, but he has the power to stop that from happening, people. The system have protection for them, but the system let him do whatever he wants and then give him protection to protect his ass if he goes wrong. You can't arrest this man, you can't take him out of power, or you can't make an insurrection, take him out of it. You start with him and with these laws and with this slavery market. Let's go.
Gated to the president the power to determine when an emergency existed, and the president holds that power exclusively. Now, counterpoint, Martin v. Mott was very different from Newsom v. Trump. In 1827, the court was considering whether a would-be militiaman could substitute his own judgment about the Militia Act for the president's judgment. Today, we're talking about a dispute between two elected commanders-in-chief, one of whom would ordinarily have legal control over the National Guard in his state.
They still running the same show that they've been running since 1700s, people. This is unbelievable. Let's go.
In that instance, it's a little weird to give the president pretty much total deference in his determination of whether the conditions of Section 12406 are met. That takes away power from the state commander-in-chief in a way that seems kind of iffy under the 10th Amendment. Nevertheless, the Ninth Circuit decided that because of Martin v. Mott, it had to give a lot of credence to Trump's evaluation of whether Section 12406 could be invoked. They basically said that unless Trump had federalized the Guard based on no evidence at all, or his decision was absurd or in bad faith, who were they to question him, right? And the Ninth Circuit also said that because the statute does not explicitly give the state's governor a veto over federalizing his state's militia, Hegseth's memo to Newsom's adjutant general was close enough to calling up the Guard through the governor. So the Ninth Circuit voided Judge Breyer's TRO and said that the California National Guard was still under the control of Pete Hegseth. They also set a briefing schedule through August, which means that the oral argument will likely be in the fall, by which time the case will presumably be moot because the California Guardsmen will have been released and sent back home. So, end of story. See you guys next time, right? Well, no, not exactly, because remember that issue about the Posse Comitatus Act and how Judge Breyer said, we'll come back to that one at the PI hearing? And the Ninth Circuit didn't touch it either. They said, in opposing the stay, plaintiffs do not press their claims based on the Posse Comitatus Act or the Administrative Procedure Act.
I'll stop right there, guys. It's a confusion that they keep you in. That's why nothing is clear. And it's made in confusion. You don't know who's writing this, or anything. Just in confusion, chaos. And the president's order federalizing California National Guard members was not authorized under the blah blah blah. These parties agree that plaintiff's 10th Amendment claim this stage rises and falls with that ultra-wires claim based on da-da-da-da. In opposing the state, plaintiffs do not press their claim based on the Posse Comitatus Act or the APA. Consequently, the parties' disputes about how federal forces are being deployed are not before us. It's all a confusion, people. And that's how they do it. With phony documents written by, devils, man. Let's go.
Consequently, the parties' dispute about how federal forces are being deployed are not before us, which means that as of this recording, there are still live issues before both the trial court and the appellate court, which is one of the reasons why you wait for the PI and do not take an appeal of a TRO, because procedurally, this is a hot mess now. On June 20th, after the Ninth Circuit stayed the TRO, Judge Breyer held the previously scheduled hearing and asked the parties what they wanted to do now. Obviously, the preliminary injunction was off the table, but the appeals court didn't deal with that Posse Comitatus issue. California argued that it should be able to conduct...
So, yeah, I'm gonna stop, man. This is pathetic. And I haven't got time to entertain the bullshits, man. Yeah, you vote for president, and that's all you're gonna spend the time. Now, you got the government militia in the streets, and you got the situation, you know what I'm saying? And you got a president that is doing nothing in office but trouble. That's what you vote for. He's not building new houses, he's not making people's lives better, he's not giving free health care, he's not doing nothing. He's doing nothing for the people, he's not giving them free lands, he's not doing nothing. He's just taxing them, and bringing war on them and hassling immigrants, sending them home, oppressing their own people with military everywhere and everything, you know what I'm saying? And motherfuckers are still asleep. Yeah, I think they're gonna sleep until Trump tells his troops to start shooting them. Probably. When they start shooting people, maybe they wake up. Let's go.
Discovery to figure out whether the Trump administration has violated the Posse Comitatus Act. Specifically, the state wants to know whether the National Guard and Marines are doing civilian law enforcement work. And there's some evidence that they are. The state also wants to know whether there's still a so-called emergency keeping ICE from meeting its arbitrary daily quota of arrests.
I guess if you go back to old Germany, that's probably what Hitler stopped doing. Bringing the military to run the civilians before you know it. You know what happened? Yeah, it's total tyranny. Let's go.
Not, they're going to argue a separate statutory basis to defederalize the troops. The Trump administration wants not that, and it argues that Judge Breyer doesn't even have jurisdiction over the remaining questions in this case anymore. As of this recording, Judge Breyer has permitted the state to conduct limited discovery, but it's unclear how the case will move forward. I should say that California was entitled to seek en banc review from the Ninth Circuit, which is very liberal on the whole, and it did not. But in the Ninth Circuit, an off-panel judge, that is, one who was not on the original three-judge panel, can make a request to rehear the case sua sponte, that is, on her own initiative, and that's what's happened here with this case. As of now, 4,000 National Guard troops appear to be doing very little besides standing around, emanating an air of general menace and alienating citizens from their government at a cost of at least $134 million taxpayer dollars. But Even if they never do anything, letting the president flood the streets of an American city with troops based on a few kids throwing rocks is a terrible precedent. Here's Governor Newsom on the Pod Save America.
Yeah, he's a terrible president. I'm gonna stop, man. You know what I'm saying? Because he's doing nothing for his country or his people, or nothing other than oppressing them and starting wars all over the world. You know what I'm saying? Starting trouble everywhere. And it's the same dude that they give, you know, a lot of energy to him. And he's nobody. He doesn't care about them. But they worship him. Yeah, the same people that you see today complaining about him were people that vote for him. That's what you need to understand. That a lot of people deserves Trump. Yeah, especially these MAGA religious fanatics, they all deserve Trump, it seems. And that's what religion teaches them, that life is suffering. So that's what they settle for. Not the truth, but the suffering. So the suffering caste are gonna suffer to death. By the time this man is done in office, I think he's gonna unleash so much plagues on them, they ain't gonna make it, man. And they can't stop it. The law say that it's protected, their own law, you know what I'm saying? Saying that the dude is protected in court, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing you can do about it. Whose union is that? Is it the people's or a private union that run the people? Because if the people are big, this government is supposed to be the government people, right? So if the people is taking it down, it's their problem. It's not, there should be no humans trying to stop them. If it's their government, they should be able to take it down without resistance. But it's not the case. You vote for something that you can take down. That's what it means. Once they're there, they have laws to protect them. So they can commit all types of atrocities and they are protected by these laws. Crimes, it protects all this, what you see happening in the world today. Famine, war, murder, and genocide. It's all coming from the laws that they write down. That's why I don't respect no damn laws they write. Yeah, how can you write a law like that? That one dude, one president has the authority to call for the militia. One dude, people. One little dude that is not even, you know, don't have his head in place. And he's there making these decisions. How do you explain that? If it was intelligent, grown-up people, and if they really had to have a government, a responsible government, they wouldn't do this. They will have a council of people, of intelligent people, of all types, of all, in all dimensions of life, to decide these type of things. Not one damn foolish man deciding these type of things. You're gonna end up in a lot of trouble. Yeah, has the authority to call for the militia. Are you kidding? Yeah. To execute, are you kidding? After you see what Hitler did, what one man can do, you give one man all this power to do this? He can turn into a Hitler and do whatever the fuck he wants. What if he turn into a Hitler and kill 6 million people in America right now? What the fuck you gonna do? Nothing, because this government don't have no mechanisms to stop that. And that's why these tyrannical people know they can do whatever the fuck they want. Because the law that these damn people agree with, because everybody must be in agreement with that shit for that shit to exist. To execute the laws of the Union, they gave the president full authority on himself to do that. And you know, one man with all this authority, what can happen? If it doesn't happen now, but one day he will. Yeah, he will abuse this power. That's what men do, and it's there in purpose. It's there because the script is written like that, so it happens again and again and again. They know that this is insane, but they do it that way anyway, because everybody will agree with that shit and wouldn't say shit about that. Yeah, until a tyrannical being come in, and when he's there now, you can't change the law because the law is already there. You can't change it now. And he's when you say something to Trump, he's going to refer to these laws that he has the right to do whatever the hell he wants. He's Christ on earth. That's our man. Continue being religious and then think why you're never going to be free. That's our man. I love you all. Keep the instructions. Peace.